Some of the most iconic album covers in history have been photographed in real locations you can still visit today. But while Abbey Road or the CN Tower on views are pretty obvious, for others though, like these huge doors from Late Registration, this mountain range here in Wyoming, or even this content house turned rehab center where Playboi Carti once shot his legendary self-titled picture, multiple famous album covers are literally hiding in plain sight. Well, that is until this video, where we'll be tracking them down to their exact coordinates. And who knows, if you're close, maybe you can go visit one yourself, such as Yoso's Seafood Restaurant.
Speaking of where we're sitting right now, this is where Drake
did his album cover.
Did an album cover, right sitting at this table. And I mean, people come now to say, oh, is this the table? This is Drake's table.
From all over the world, they'll come and say, we want to sit at the table.
It turns out that the cover photo for Drake's 2011 Take Care album was taken at Yoso's family-owned restaurant in Toronto, right here in the second floor corner booth to be specific, where the same paintings still hang. But you might want to reserve this table early, because the owners weren't lying. To this day, nearly 15 years later, Drake fans still constantly come in to recreate this cover.
Drake came here because he came here as a kid and with his mom and ate here.
However, meanwhile, back in the States, I want you to take one look at this random brick wall here and see if anything comes to mind. Anything? Located on the street corner in Koreatown in Los Angeles, on the side of what appears to be a boarded up laundromat, it might be the color that's throwing you off. Prior to later changing the final background color in post from this bluish teal color to red, as evident in these other pictures too, Kendrick Lamar decided to take the cover photo for his album Damn in front of this brick wall. But yet, aside from big Kendrick fans like this guy in the area,
well, what's going on, everybody? Here I am at the corner of Vermont and San Marino, and look right here. You know what happened right here? 2017, Damn. The fourth album by Kendrick Lamar. The album cover was shot right here, right up against this wall. Now, I know what you're thinking. Well, it's a different color. And the album cover was actually red, and they photoshopped that. It's always been this color, this kind of teal cover.
The truth is, countless cars drive by this street every day and have no idea the history that was made here. But in addition to also this corner on Water Street, in the Dumbo neighborhood of Brooklyn, that once full of graffiti for Joey Badass, today is basically unrecognizable as the cover for his old debut mixtape. And the same is also true for Illmatic. Fittingly, for an album about growing up in the Queensbridge projects, Nas's legendary cover art actually features these specific buildings, at the intersection of 10th Street and 41st Avenue in Long Island, New York. But as you'll notice, similar to how Kendrick's Damn cover was cropped super tight, the buildings here are faded, making them much harder to notice, especially if you're not looking from this perfect angle. However, on the other hand, when it came to Kendrick Lamar's 2012 album Good Kid, Mad City, and the deluxe with the iconic van parked out front, it did not take long for fans to track down this real house.
Oh yeah, Good Kid, Mad City house, I'm talking about, right where the album cover was. Well, I don't see the van out here, but this is it.
Located in Compton, I do want to say if you are going to pull up to some of these spots, definitely be safe, because like we're about to see later in the video, there are a few even more dangerous spots from covers. And also, please don't trespass, such as what often happens at this house right here in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Which, I guess, to be fair, to a degree you should expect this, when you literally leak the address in your album title.
Welcome. My name is J. Cole, Jermaine Cole, and welcome to my house. This is 2014 Forest Hills Drive, Fayetteville, North Carolina, 28303. This is the first house I ever owned in my life. And it just happens to be the last house I grew up in.
Back in 2014, J. Cole did something you almost never see from a superstar rapper, name an album after his exact childhood address. To make matters worse though, at least if you live on this same street, out of the 100 different photos that J. Cole took for the cover, they decided to go with this one for the final album, sitting on the rooftop of his old house. At this spot to be precise, glaring off into the distance. Now, according to Zillow, the property at 2014 Forest Hills Drive in Fayetteville has not been sold since 2014, when Cole had bought it back. However, despite Cole's initial plans of what he was going to do at the house,
y'all gotta pardon the fact that the crib is empty. My goal and my intention is some family will get to move into this place and we'll give them 2 years. Every 2 years a new family will move in and hopefully by the time they leave they'll be in a much better position.
In theory, this sounds like a great idea, helping struggling families, but as it played out, they honestly underestimated the amount of attention that fans were about to bring to this random neighborhood. Because, immediately following the album's release, 2014 Forest Hills Drive became a hip-hop landmark.
This is 2014 Forest Hills Drive right here, as you can see. There's some signs up, some single moms live here now, but yeah, this is Jermaine's house.
Combined with fans constantly stopping by every day, some even going as far as to jump onto the roof and recreate the pose themselves. Thus, it quickly became impossible for anyone to live there.
It's pretty cool. Definitely worth the drive. You know, I'm a real big J. Cole fan. Of course, I can't go inside the house.
As of this video, the house is still standing, but aside from getting vandalized here in 2018, with a spray painted message, J. Cole do you even care about the Ville? Rather than some type of barbed wire fence or something slightly more intimidating, all that remains is this tiny wooden fence circling the property, as well as we can see, a couple no trespassing signs in the windows. Now, at one point they did put this little mailbox out on the front fence, giving fans a chance to leave a message for J. Cole, while instead others just write on the wooden fence.
Yes sir, y'all already know. 2014 Forest Hill Drive, you feel me? Fayetteville, North Carolina, home of J. Cole.
Going platinum with no features, Forest Hills Drive will forever be associated with J. Cole's classic album. And in only the first 3 years after its release, according to reports, Fayetteville officials had to replace over 50 Forest Hill street signs, due to fans constantly stealing them. But if we look here on Google Maps, you will notice that the 1,000 square foot home is now blurred out, yet not any of the neighbors. All that's visible is the wooden fence, which is also the same way too on Google Maps for Kendrick's Mad City house in Compton, censored for privacy reasons. However, considering all the attention these houses still bring, it's truly surprising they haven't been torn down, because other album locations have not been so lucky. One look at this big body of water in California from this angle and you're probably pretty confused. But as we go to the right a little bit, this wooden dock type of thing appears. Still no idea. How about if we add some rainbow colors to it?
The imagery of the album, and that's a pier, like a floating
We had built
a dock of some sort? Or?
Yeah, we built like a dock.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was just built for this?
Yeah, like that wasn't even Photoshop. Like the dot was real, like the colors were really like painted on there.
Contrary to some belief, the cover pic for Baby Keem's debut album, The Melodic Blue, is indeed a real photo, taken by Dave Free, along with also this album trailer on the same rainbow pier. If you want to visit it yourself, the exact location is at Castaic Lake in California, about an hour drive from Los Angeles.
We usually come out maybe once or twice a week, but there's a great community. My girlfriend loves to come out and do yoga on the weekdays.
On this Memorial Day, Americans gather here to celebrate with loved ones.
And, by the way, depending on traffic of course, this is only about 30 minutes away from where Travis Scott and his crew shot the original Jack Boys cover at the famous Sable Ranch, where countless blockbuster movies have been filmed, such as Iron Man, Oppenheimer, and Top Gun to name a few. But similarly, when it comes to Lake Castaic, due to both its close proximity to LA and beautiful mountain backdrop, Baby Keem is far from the only artist to utilize this scenic lake. As you probably don't know that only 3 years later, Sabrina Carpenter actually picked this same spot to film the music video for her breakout smash hit, Espresso, with over 500 million views.
Hey guys, it's Sabrina, and we're on set of my music video for Espresso.
Dancing around the small sandy beach areas and riding boats across the water, this raises the question, can Baby Keem's melodic pier be seen anywhere in the background as an Easter egg? Sadly, no. The exact location Keem took the Melodic Blue cover was over here by the lifeguard stand. However, you'll notice this Google Maps view is from back in 2021, which was the same year that Keem's album dropped, and once the dock was painted for him to sit on, unfortunately they removed it from the lake shortly after, with this aerial news shot from a year later, showing us that nothing is in the water anymore by the lifeguard stand.
Castaic, and also, very importantly, we can get hydroelectric power from Castaic Lake.
Although the rainbow dock no longer exists, at least you can still visit the lake if you really want to. That is, unlike Eminem's childhood home. Once upon a time, this plot of grass located on Dresden Street in Detroit, Michigan was featured on not just one, but rather two famous album covers. First, in the year of 2000 arrived the Marshall Mathers LP that showed Eminem sitting on the front steps of his old childhood home, before then revisited for its sequel in 2013, this time without Eminem.
Like, I don't know if you've ever been to like a house, go back when you were a kid, everything seems smaller. Bro, it was like here to here, you could touch the living room walls. We tried to buy it and the city had already condemned it, so they wouldn't sell it to us.
However, as you'd expect, and just like J. Cole, Eminem's decision to feature his childhood home on his album cover instantly brought the property worldwide fame, quickly resulting in endless fans pulling up, snapping photos to remember forever, and for the chance to stand where Eminem grew up.
Yeah, this is Eminem's house. This is the great view we had every day.
Looking worse and worse by the year as no one lived there anymore or even took care of it, after suffering major burn damage in a 2013 fire. A fire that was rumored to be started by a neighbor due to all the attention this house brought. In 2013 though, the neighbors got their wish, as the remaining structure was sadly demolished. along with this guy who had claimed to have stolen the front door of Eminem's house to sell on the internet. For fans who wanted an actual authenticated piece from the property, 700 autographed bricks from the rubble were then sold on Eminem's website for $313 per brick.
If you want to pause it, read it, whatever. But yeah, there you go. There is the authentic brick.
As yesterday fades and the Dresden home is burnt to the ground, all that's left of my house is lawn, Eminem raps. And he wasn't lying. Today, Eminem's former home is indeed a plot of grass. But speaking of grass, take a look at this random patch of grass and trees and see if you recognize anything. Located in Hockinson, Delaware, just off to the side on Benj Road is actually where Frank Ocean's debut artwork, Nostalgia Ultra, came from. However, the story behind this picture is honestly crazy. Ever since he was a kid, Frank Ocean had dreamed of owning a BMW E30 M3. And although he later would, it turns out he didn't at the time. Nor did he ever own this one on the cover. Back in 2009, this internet user Dricebug had posted various photos of his car that he was listing for sale online, including this now famous one. And due to his love for the vehicle, Frank Ocean eventually stumbled upon this post. But rather than buying it, as far as the picture, I had posted it to a forum and that was it, Dricebug recalls on Reddit. Then one day my PM box blew up, and it turns out Frank must have seen it and decided to use it for his album cover. I attempted to contact him, but he never got back to me. Sadly, this guy was never reimbursed for his photo in any way. Yet, that didn't stop him from still copying the vinyl. Watch my own picture, his 2014 Instagram caption reads. But for Frank's 2016 album, Blonde, the iconic blonde cover was instead shot in a random shower in Berlin.
I absolutely love this photograph that you took from Frank Ocean.
It was originally photographed for the 10th anniversary of Fantastic Man. He drove all the way from London through the night to Berlin to arrive in the morning. He vetoed any pictures of this set to come out in Fantastic Man, but a year later got in touch and said, can I use this for the cover of my next album?
While again the exact location of the shower is unknown, at least he reached out to the photographer for approval. It was after vetoing every single pic a year prior. Which, Frank Ocean's indecisiveness reminds me of another rapper who has this same problem. Kanye West. Alright, I want everybody to do me a favor real quick and close your eyes. Okay, now you have all been to the Donda cover. Rather than these other fire options that Kanye West shared before release, he decided to go with a plain black square for his 10th album. But Kanye changing his mind at the last second is nothing new. In 2004, with the chance to prove himself to the world, arrived Kanye West's debut album, The College Dropout, with a cover taken on the bleachers in some gymnasium. It turns out that this classic cover was actually taken inside of the Joseph P. Kennedy Community Center in Harlem, New York. That is still open today. And while I wasn't able to find any pictures from other angles to show us the side where the bleachers would be, they still host basketball games here, in the same gym where Kanye once sat.
I felt like this said The College Dropout in itself, you know. A mascot with his head down. You usually see mascots jumping up and down, all hyped up. So you see a mascot like Salty, you don't never see that. That's like, yo, he's like, man, I'm finished with this. I'm through with this.
And yes, it was really Kanye who was wearing the bear mask. Funny enough though, this was never planned. The bear just happened to be where Def Jam had booked the photo shoot for the album, recalls Plain Pat. Basically by accident, Kanye's dropout bear quickly became synonymous with his early career. And to keep this trend going, 1 year later, the bear was back on another Kanye cover for his next album, Late Registration.
On Late Registration, I haven't stopped living. It's still a lot of ups and downs.
While not quite a community center, this is another album cover location that you can actually go visit. In fact, students do every day without even knowing it. To continue with his college theming, the cover for Kanye's sophomore album shows the dropout bear, this time standing in front of some huge doors. Not just any doors, but these large wooden doors inside of the old graduate building at Princeton University. In addition to this other promotional picture taken on campus as well, that also doesn't look much different 20 years later. However, after then switching to a digital version of his bear for graduation, it wouldn't be until 2018 then when Kanye would use another real-life photograph for his album cover. And believe it or not, Kanye snapped this one himself on his iPhone. Located approximately 4 hours from where he had been staying at the time on his ranch, if you drive along US Highway 191 here in Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and then turn to the side, you will see the beautiful Teton Mountain Range. And aside from the photoshopped green text, of course, like this guy, if you can catch it in the right lighting, you can capture almost the same exact picture as the cover for Ye, Kanye's 2018 album.
Why the album title Ye? Well, I believe Ye is the most commonly used word in the Bible.
But why stop there? To keep your famous album cover road trip going, you might as well swing back over through Cali. And as crazy as this is to say, stop at the Rehab Center, where a decade ago Playboi Carti and these models made history.
Carti stopped by the crib. It's his fucking birthday today, so
yeah.
Happy birthday, homie.
Thank you, bro.
I think we're gonna have some fun.
You know what I'm saying? And we got the new member of the squad.
We do have the new member of the squad.
What are we gonna name him?
I think we might name him. I don't know yet.
Right,
What do you
yeah.
guys think we should name him?
Here's
my man, Javi. Birthday, dude, we're gonna turn it the fuck up.
Long before Playboi Carti was signing his own artists and dominating the top of the rap game, in 2017 both Playboi Carti and FaZe Banks were still on the come up. And as we can see by this old vlog together, with, keep in mind, this Hollywood text on the back wall, the truth is Carti used to frequently spend time over what was formerly known as the Clout House.
Wait, hold up. Is that the Clout House up there? Holy fucking shit, dude!
What's the Clout House?
Alright guys, we got the Clout House.
This mansion in the hills that has seen countless YouTubers and influencers rent it out over its lifespan, but for a while, it was the unmistakable home of FaZe Clan. Thus, with the help of these models, in a day that consisted of chain-smoking blunts and standing all over tables,
Carti, of course, is a new artist. Yeah. Comes to the crib, shoots the album cover for self-titled. Yeah. Him and his boys are running through the crib all day. It's insane. Him and his boys are running through the crib all day, fuck up the crib, and at the end of the day, Carti takes me aside and he tries to pay me. He peels off like 7 bands. Tries to give me 7 bands. He said, yeah, we got this for the budget. I said, bro, put it back in your pocket. We're good. Like, today was lit. Like, you're good. Like, hit me anytime. If you need anything, just let me know. And at the time, I think I had like 30, 40 bands to my name, bro. For real? I spent all my money on the crib. Damn.
Declining payment from Carti for letting them use his house. Today, not only has FaZe Clan split up though, but in 2023, after running out of TikTokers and influencers to live there, the famous Clout House with, remember, the Hollywood sign, this property was reportedly transformed into a luxury rehab facility, featuring, quote, 5-star amenities. The irony, tweeted Banks after the news. However, when it came time for Playboi Carti's debut album in 2018, rather than a real photo, Carti was photoshopped for dye lit onto this image from a punk show to match the album's vibe, with the people on the cover, such as this girl nicknamed Mohawk Girl by Carti fans, having no idea what this image would later become.
I get this question all the time. What shoes was he wearing? Like, he was not there when we shot this cover. He was edited in, so he wasn't even there, so I don't know what he's wearing. None of us knew we was shooting an album cover. We thought that we was just doing some punk rock photo shoot for something, but we didn't know for what.
While not photoshopped in this case, and instead designed by his biological brother, the cover for Mac Miller's debut album from 2011 features, like the title also says, this bright blue slide. And if you make your way east on your road trip, you need to stop in Pittsburgh, more specifically Blue Slide Park.
English Lane, Blue Slide Park. Yeah. This is the slide, all right? It's a little red because when I announced that I was coming out with the album Blue Slide Park, some vandalizing kids dumped a bucket of red paint down the slide, but...
After Mac Miller's tragic passing in 2018, fans gathered from all over the world at Blue Slide Park, with flowers and tributes to pay their respect. And again, as we speak, the slide remains a staple in both the local community and hip-hop fans.
Blue Slide Park, aka Frick Park. It was a beautiful Saturday afternoon and the park was filled with both fans and families alike. It's a staple of the community and it's pretty clear why it would be profound to someone who grew up playing here.
But to close out your final stops of album covers, I suppose you could see the White House, which was shown in the background of To Pimp a Butterfly. And then as we head south through Atlanta, potentially driving over an album cover without realizing it. Shown here on Quality Control's compilation album Control the Streets is the intertwined traffic loop known as the Tom Moreland Interchange. The Tom Moreland Interchange is one of the major highway systems in Atlanta, which is where the Migos, Lil Baby, Gucci, Lil Yachty, and most of these rappers on this album grew up. Atlanta used to also be the home of this legendary can't-miss hip-hop landmark, 2 Chainz's Pink Trap House. Dubbed the, quote, Statue of Liberty in Atlanta, although he would use a painting of the Pink House for his actual 2017 cover. To roll out his Pretty Girls Love Trap album, 2 Chainz and his team rented out this property on Howell Mill Road in Atlanta, and not only painted it bright pink, but also put the word trap across the front. Just what you want if you're the neighbors. Yet, despite initial plans to tear down the house completely, citing its location on a busy road.
The famous Pink Trap House, known as like the Statue of Liberty of Atlanta, about to be knocked down by the owner. What do you say? Should we make it a city monument?
I don't think they would knock down the Statue of Liberty. We need to keep that up, man.
Yeah, I'm saying.
We changed the connotation of Trap House from something that was considered negative to something that was considered positive.
2 Chainz had indeed hosted positive community events, including church services at his Pink Atlanta house. But as it played out, here in 2026, the legendary house is still standing, although has since been repainted white. And unless you're from the area or a huge 2 Chainz fan, it's almost impossible to recognize. With that said, if we zoom in here on Google Maps, it appears the house hasn't fully left its trap roots, with 2 backwoods branded barrels sitting on the front porch. Our very last album stop takes us down to Florida, where if you happen to live in this neighborhood in Tampa, history was made right on this sidewalk.
Hey, hold up. This is the place.
This is the place.
Do it to him.
This is where we do it.
Do it to him.
Can we do it to him? Hold up. You know I gotta do it to him.
Hey!
Although far less green now compared to a decade ago, on Capitol Drive in Tampa is the spot where this viral picture was taken. The "you know I had to do it to him" meme. which, as we also later saw, containing popular hits like Magic Johnson, rapper Ian went back to this exact location to recreate the pic for his debut project, complete with tan lines and all. Don't get me wrong, Ian definitely doesn't compare to a 2014 Forest Hills Drive or Lay Registration, for example, but still, especially in today's age of computers and AI, there's always just something so special about an album cover captured in the real world. And now that you know their locations, you can literally go stand right where iconic hip-hop covers were created.